Happy Labor Day. Yes, we're not really clear on what we're celebrating today, but we are grateful that, that we have a day off work, right? So maybe it's about celebrating the end of summer. I don't know. Maybe it's about celebrating the beginning of school. I don't know, maybe that, or just a day off work. Football. It's about celebrating the beginning of football, at least here in the South. But for me and my wife, it has a different meaning. Our firstborn was born on Labor Day. Yes, that creates a whole different meaning, right? Labor Day, labor. Well, it must be about work, about the labor force in America or wherever. So it kind of creates this dichotomy between work and play. But someone has said that if you find something that you really enjoy doing, then you'll never work a day in your life, right? So we all have this inclination to expand, to live, to build, to go and get married and have a family and expand ourselves. We all have this natural inclination, and this is really what carries us to work every day, isn't it? The idea of expanding, growing, yes, having more things, enjoying life, and making a living, as we say, really making a life for ourselves. This is a natural and beautiful inclination that we all have. It started, according to the Bible, it started in Genesis. When God is finished creating the world on the end of the sixth day, He says, it is very good. And there's some ancient commentaries from Jewish rabbis that say that God is referencing this very good as a reference to this inclination that all animals and plant life and the universe itself has for expansion, for growth, for living, for life. And that's why we go about working and doing. And it should be like that, shouldn't it? Should be a free-flowing, kind of enjoyable thing that we get up every morning and we go to work. Is it that way for you? Do you get up every morning and think, I get to go to work again? Maybe it's not always that way. Maybe it is for some of us. But when there's this thing, it's this animalistic, I guess, kind of inclination, egoic, really, inclination to expand, to grow. And but it turns kind of dark when the ego gets afraid, when it begins to feel like it's in survival mode again. When we begin to attach to things to such a degree that the ego says, I have to have that in order to survive. I can't survive without it. And then it's work, right? Then it's striving, trying. You're breathing hard and you're getting up in the morning and you're drudging it, you're trying to stay at it, and a 40-hour week or whatever, and there's no fun to it. There's no life to it anymore. It's just doing and doing. And sometimes that animalistic or egoic kind of survival mode picks up on drugs or alcohol or other habits. And suddenly the animalistic or egoic part of us is convincing the mind. This is what I call the ego. It's the body and the mind conspiring together to edge God or edge the spirit out. And they conspire together because they find that they need something. There's a discontentment about life. So how do we get that back? How do we get back into that flow of this natural inclination to expand and grow and enjoy, to again, build a home and be married, have a family, you know, and enjoy this, whatever this is that we're inclined to do. How do we get back to that? We have to bring the ego back into the now, back into the moment, because it's lost it. It's lost the moment. Jesus says, if you want to see what it's like to be caught in the moment, to be there in the moment, in the now, look at the sparrow. The sparrow doesn't sow seeds in a row and then reap the harvest and put it in a barn. He's not caught up in what it will be like when I get to the end, like there's some end I have to get to. And now the mind is caught in that and can't enjoy the moment. The moment just becomes a means to that end. The sparrow's not like that. The sparrow just lives. It's part of nature. It knows that everything it needs is around it. It will find it. That nature itself is providing for it. The universe is for it. The universe is not against it. That there's an ecosystem that's working all along. So we have to draw the ego back into the moment, but it's not drawing it back to live for the moment. It's drawing it back to live in the moment, in the now. Because look, all the happenings and all the occurrences that are going on are the context in the moment. The now is the infinite space in which everything happens. It's finding that space, just the space to dwell in, the space of contentment and supply. And you know, when an animal gets trapped in a corner, in a room, it's going to act out. It's going to slip into the survival mode and it's going to fight. We want to bring this ego back into alignment with something deep inside of us that is spacious and open and infinite, where this thing we've been attached to that we think we have to survive, we can let go of that. Because once the base needs are met in all of humanity, it's then that we can slip into this inclination to move forward, to again build a home, have a partner, maybe have a family, and begin to expand and be a part of this whole universe and play our role. Maybe I can explain this abstract a little bit better with a story. So there was a king who wanted to test his subjects to see how loyal they were. So he got a guard in his castle and brought him in and said, hey, I want you to create a ruse. I want you to go into these little villages and I want you to actually try to create a revolt against the king, so I can see how loyal each village is in my kingdom. And so the guard goes out in disguise and goes into these villages. And in some of the villages, he actually was able to stir up a revolt against the king. And in other villages, they denounced him and ran him out of the village. But the people that the king was most excited about or impressed with was this one or two villages where they caught on to the ruse. They recognized what the king was up to. And rather than trying to run the guard out of their village or to have a revolt themselves, to kind of show their loyalty, they just smiled at him as he would stand on his stump and make his revolt speech about the king. They would walk by and just smile and go about their business, continue living their life. Some would wink at him as if, hey, we know what you're up to. And they moved on. That's the way it is sometimes, isn't it, with our ego? It is in a revolt, trying to draw us in. And we either flow with it and we revolt with it. We go into survival mode and we fight. We get into all kinds of problems with people, relationships or whatever. We get into trouble with the law or whatever because we have to have this. We have to survive. Or we revolt against our ego. Try to fight against it. We realize that it's in conflict with us, and so we fight with it and try to revolt with it. But those who walk in peace and this centeredness, this spaciousness, are those who recognize the ruse. They see it's just a happening. It's just a desire. We're okay. We don't have to have it. We're going to be all right. And they just wink at the ego, smile at it, and they move on. You know what happens when you do that? The ego's found out. It's like the thief that, as the light's been shined on him, the thief disappears. Or it's like when you turn on the light, the darkness dispels. This is the life that we want. That life of spaciousness, openness, returning back to this natural inclination to have a life, to be lived, to enjoy the spaciousness of the universe, to know that the universe, God, is for us. And that survival, this fighting, warring, striving, is unnecessary. And it's then that we begin to live inside out from the center. Hi all. I hope you're enjoying the videos. If you are, check us out. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Like our videos, share them out with other people. If they're a blessing to you, bless someone else with them. If you'd like more information about our program, Recover Wholeness, email us at recoverwholeness@gmail.com.